And next, just a very special part of the forum. At the Salem Chamber, we believe in helping businesses prosper so that our community may thrive. The Spirit of Salem Award is our chance to recognize the influencers who put Salem first and inspire other individuals to become champions in our city. Today's recipient paved the way for many to feel a sense of belonging in the city, our state, but her work has never been easy. Mrs. Willie Richardson serves as president of the 501c3 nonprofit organization, Oregon Black Pioneers. In her volunteer role, Willie leads the organization's efforts to recognize and preserve the history and involvement of African Americans statewide. Oregon Black Pioneers, since 1963, has illuminated the seldom told history of people of African descent in Oregon. We are inspired by the tenacity of Black Oregonians who have faced discrimination and hardship to make a life for themselves in Oregon over the past 400 years. Their sacrifices and journeys are accounted for in stories and publications which are shared with the public nationwide. Willie's leadership has placed Oregon Black Pioneers as the preeminent resource for the study of Oregon's African American history and culture, allowing students, historians, elected officials, and our entire citizenry to better understand the impact African Americans played in Oregon's rich history, along with the immense challenges they faced, the people of color faced over the hundreds of years within our state, as well as the challenges they face today. Many Salem Chamber members will reflect on Willie's involvement as a small business owner in downtown Salem. Willie's Hats, a former retail boutique on Ferry Street, was a location for women to upgrade and elevate their visual appearance and confidence. Willie warmly served customers with laughter and encouragement. Whether you were seeking a wardrobe to upgrade for a wedding, special occasion, or you were going to an important interview or public event, Willie had a special knack for matching the beautiful headpiece that best represented the heart and attitude of her customer. Everyone had a home in Willie's presence, and we still do today. Tom Hoffert reflected on meeting Willie for the very first time. I remember meeting Willie while interning at the Salem Chamber. Somehow I got caught between Jackie Winters and Willie in our conference room following a governmental affairs meeting. Jackie told me I was going to be in the political world. I'd better pay Willie a visit down at her shop, as my hair would be falling out quickly. Oh my. Little did I know it was a women's hat shop. But Mike McLaren and Senator Winters knew the real reason behind sending me to visit Willie. It stands as one, if not the most important member interviews I ever conducted. To hear a firsthand account of what it meant to be a Black woman in Salem, Oregon, inspired me and equally made me reflect on the struggle for equality and opportunity too many people of color faced as residents and entrepreneurs of our state. Willie Richardson conquered many difficulties, but remained optimistic that the advancement of colored people can continue to occur through education and activation. She is a role model and community leader, not only for the African American community, but for all Oregonians. And most importantly, her work has not concluded yet. In her retirement years, Willie has remained active in advancing the mission of the Oregon Black Pioneers. Her compassion is unparalleled, as is her optimism. The Salem business community is honored to link arms with Willie in advancing social justice initiatives statewide while chronicling the struggle and triumphs of African Americans in Oregon. Please help me congratulate Willie Richardson, our Spirit of Salem Award recipient.
Yeah, thank you very much for such kind words, which means I've got to do a better job of coordinating off who I am and what I do. I try to do things quietly, but with a loud mouth at the same time. To the chamber leadership and the honorables who are present, And to each of you who have signed on for this today, I want to bid you good morning or good afternoon. I cannot see the clock, and it might be right on time. My hat, I don't normally do hats with Zoom meetings, but I had to honor my friend Tom. He was so concerned about me and my hat, and I found one that worked. Tom, is it okay with you? I want to thank you for this recognition with the Spirit of Salem Award. As I said earlier, I am surprised, but I do accept it with honor and humility. And I also want to thank my family, because my family was the driving force behind my community engagement, and most specifically to my husband, who's been a part of my life for 56 years. Thomas has sat quietly back and let his wife gallivant around Salem and Oregon, doing what I believe is my mission on earth. Shortly after arriving in Salem, I heard and experienced black ice and being stopped by the police for no apparent reason other than to let me know they knew that I was here. Early into 1979, I experienced culture shock and sheer fright for my children while at Willamette Town Center. After getting my children safely home, except for going to work, I did not venture out for several weeks without my children. This way of living was not going to be sustainable. So I had to decide about staying or leaving this place of whiteness. I chose to stay, and that began my citizenship in Salem and Oregon. I share that because it has relevance to you today. Considering what transpired on Wednesday in our capital and put all of us in jeopardy, I wondered what to say today, other than thank you, accept my award, and sit down. I tried my utmost to think about Salem as a healthy community for its citizens from the past to the present. Truth is, no such thing existed in the past, nor does it exist today. That is difficult for me to say as I'm receiving this award, and I'm sure uncomfortable for some of you to hear. As seen across the nation, Salem have all of the same issues, good and bad, and all non-white communities are experiencing racism and discriminatory practices on some scale. And this includes white supremacists roaming our streets and our neighborhoods. It is not to say that Salem and its leadership components have not made strides to bring change and the city to become a welcoming place for all of its citizens so that none feel disenfranchised or harmed. Newsflash for you out there in Zoom land. That is not, however, where all the work needs to be done. Individually, we have a role and a responsibility in our communities. Our religious institutions, and there are many of them, of which some of you attend and hold leadership positions, must be responsible to fulfilling its role in teaching the tenets of Christ to its members, and that any member who accepts Christ must not set those beliefs aside in favor of a person or political party. Each of us must remember that God created us in his image, and his son, Christ Jesus, charged us to love one another. My vision for a healthy Salem is you. It is you. Because truly, it is going to be you that make the changes in thoughts and culture that will move Salem to be a healthy community. The people most affected by grievous treatment and conditions can only do so much in the fight. For years, I have been saying the laws of the civil rights movement brought some relief. However, the one thing that was needed most did not occur, and that is the hearts of many changed little and continued to perpetuate decay and decline in our humanity for each other. Hence, where today we live in a visibly divided country. In America, for 400 years, Black people have been trying to fix and solve the problems of racism and discrimination, racial inequality, police brutality, unequal justice, and on and on and on, so that any neighborhood we choose to live in will be safe and healthy and welcoming to all. White Americans, for the most part, turned a blind eye and fixated on the privileges of being white with controlling power, while attempting to convince people like me, the oppressed, their daily lived experiences are not true, that it is all in the imagination. Being jolted to a state of woke to the reality of racism and unequal treatment began for more whites when, if you had the grit and the stomach to watch the 9-minute murder tape of George Floyd, and then followed by seeing your white children hitting the streets alongside others in protest, reality began to sink in. And for many of those young people, to a large extent, it was a rejection of their legacy of white privilege. This comes after Black people have been saying for years that Black males were being killed with impunity. And to make the gravity of silence evidentiary, we saw the seat of democracy permitted, for the most part, to be trampled with little obstruction in comparison to the stark contrast of peaceful protesters. We've been hearing a lot said about the reckoning. The reckoning for white America, and particularly those that profess to be followers of Christ, is now. A healthy community is going to require you to examine and self-reflect on your individual beliefs and deciding what role you will play henceforth to ensure that Salem is really the healthiest community you want. The oppressed can no longer be the only fighters to dismantle the systemic and vitriolic racial divide which prevents communities from being healthy and whole. It is now a job that white people must confront and become a leader in resolving alongside the rest of us. This will require you to be willing to challenge racism and discriminatory behaviors in your circles, beginning with what you say, what you do, or permit in your home, businesses, churches, social groups. If you do nothing and remain silent, you are giving consent and is complicit. Any outspoken action you take will have a price to it. When you tell your favorite family member or friend to peddle their thoughts or beliefs elsewhere, they may stop speaking to you. It would mean checking that business partner of that customer so they'll know where you stand. They may stop doing business with you or speaking with you. You have got to figure out a way to be willing to stake a claim to who you are as a person. If you're not engaged in some capacity to fight all forms of racism in this beloved community of ours and in your space, it will not be the community you want. You must activate and join the fight if you're not already doing so. I believe each of us is on this earth for a reason, and God has a plan and a mission for you daily. Seek it, accept it, lean into it, and do it. Salem will become better for it. To the chamber, this is an honor. And I thank you for your kindness in evaluating my presence here and saw value in my contributions by selecting me for embodying the true spirit of Salem. It is with a deep sense of honor and humility that it is accepted. I look forward to seeing more of you in the fight for the soul of our city and for it to be a place that welcomes all. I want you each to be safe and to be well. Thank you.